In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. But amidst the ceaseless conflict, the whispers of an ideology stand in stark contrast. A vision of unity, of progress, and of peace. At least that's what it claims to be. Today we dive into the Tau Empire, the rising faction in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, and their philosophy of the greater good. The Tau Empire may not be as ancient or as vast as other powers in the galaxy, but what they lack in age, they make up for with ambition and ingenuity. This is their story, the story of their rise and the vision that drives them. The Tau's tale begins on the barren, desolate world of Tau, located at the eastern fringe of the galaxy. Millennia ago, the Tau were little more than disparate warring tribes, trapped in an endless cycle of violence and primitive survival. They fought each other for resources, land, and power. Civilizations grew on the scorched plains and fiery deserts, only for them to fall in savage conflict. The rise of the Tau seemed doomed from the start, that is, until something miraculous happened. In approximately the 35th millennium, the galaxy watched as the Tau were nearly extinguished during their infancy, when a warp storm raged across the stars, cutting them off from the rest of the universe. The forces of the Imperium, who had initially scouted their world and deemed them primitive savages, decided the effort of conquest wasn't worth it. So they left Tau to its own fate, believing the nascent species would be consumed by its own violence or die forgotten in the void. But this isolation was not their end. It was their salvation. In the chaos of unending tribal warfare, legends tell of an extraordinary moment, the arrival of mysterious beings who brought the Tau their first glimpse of unity, a message of peace, and a direction forward. These figures, later sanctified as the Ethereals, stepped into the fray and with mere words ended wars that had raged for centuries. Over time, the Ethereals united the Tau people under one banner, the banner of the greater good. So, what was the greater good? At its core, it's an ideology of cooperation, where every individual sets aside their personal wants and ambitions for the collective benefit of all. For the Tau, true strength lies in unity, in the idea that all beings, Tau or otherwise, can find their place in a society that values the collective over the individual. From this philosophy emerged a caste system vital to Tau society: the fire caste, skilled in warfare; the earth caste, masters of labor and engineering; the water caste, diplomats and traders; the air caste, pilots ruling the skies; and of course the Ethereals, who provide moral and political guidance. But it wasn't just the Tau's ideology that propelled their rise. They were fast learners, quick to adapt and innovate in ways other species could not. Unlike the Imperium of man, which clings desperately to its dogmatic technology, the Tau embrace progress and science. Within a few thousand years, a blink of an eye compared to the timelines of the galaxy's ancient factions, the Tau went from wielding spears and swords to developing highly advanced railguns, anti-gravity vehicles, formidable battlesuits, and even their own faster-than-light drives, though slower and less efficient than the warp travel of the Imperium. Though technologically younger than their galactic rivals, their advancements are nothing short of remarkable. The Tau's expansion was swift and, at first, peaceful. They traveled to nearby systems across the Damocles Gulf, bringing their message of the greater good to other species. Some, like the Kroot and Vespid, saw the benefits of Tau society and willingly joined their empire, finding coexistence preferable to the alternative. But not all encounters were so harmonious. As the Tau expanded, they inevitably clashed with the other powers of the galaxy: the Imperium, the Orcs, the Tyranids. None of them were particularly interested in diplomacy. For the Tau, peace was the goal, but they were not pacifists. When negotiations failed, their fire warriors stood ready. They believed that sometimes war is necessary for the greater good. Still, some cannot help but call their idealistic vision hypocrisy. Particularly in the view of the Imperium of man, the Tau's promises of peace are nothing more than lies spun to mask their ambitions of domination. Others whisper about the mind-controlling power of the Ethereals, who, with their strange pheromones and unyielding authority, manipulate Tau society from behind the scenes. To skeptics, the greater good is less about unity and more about blind obedience. After all, in a galaxy teeming with horrors, can any philosophy truly survive without a darker side? Yet it is undeniable that the Tau stand out compared to their rivals. The Imperium clings to its theocratic stagnation, the Eldar mourn the slow death of their civilization, and the Necrons fight desperately for their lost empire. The Tau, however, are something rare, a race looking forward, striving for a better future despite the odds. They are not consumed by the evils of the warp like chaos, nor drowned in bloodlust like the orcs. They are, ironically, perhaps the most optimistic force alive in the galaxy. In recent times, the Tau have faced both glory and tragedy. The fourth sphere expansion saw their drive to colonize new stars meet with disaster after a warp mishap transported them into an unknown realm of space where their survival was put to the ultimate test. The fifth sphere expansion followed, solidifying their relentless pursuit of growth and ideology. They push forward with the confidence that their society offers something no other faction does: progress. But the galaxy is a dangerous, unforgiving place, and even the Tau cannot avoid its harsh realities. From wars with the Imperium to incursions by the Tyranids and betrayals by their closest allies, they too have shed blood, and not always for the noble reasons their Ethereals would have you believe. Yet they endure, always marching forward, always preaching the greater good. The story of the Tau is one of hope, ingenuity, and ambition, a rare light against the dark backdrop of the galaxy's endless war. Whether you admire their vision or doubt their motives, one thing is certain: the Tau are not to be underestimated. Thanks for watching Storytime. Like and subscribe.